What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to D+Pad Life, and I have an exciting update. We have knocked out count them, two games from the backlog. Just yesterday evening, I decided to jump back into the headset, and I knocked out these two. Psychonauts in the Rhombus of Ruin and PlayStation VR Worlds. And I gotta tell you guys, it feels so good. These both have been on the backlog for a very long time. And many months ago, I started my game on Psychonauts in the Rhombus of Ruin, but I didn't get around to finishing it. And I was able to jump back in and absolutely recall like where I was, what was going on. And so I didn't feel like the need to start over a new file. And I was able to beat it. And gotta say, real quick, in PlayStation VR Worlds, I only really cared about this one right here, the London Heist little mini game on there. That was what really brought me to this one because it serves as maybe not so much like a literal prequel, but basically the same studio that made that also made Blood and Truth, another VR game that I want to start really soon. And so I was able to beat London Heist. That was my primary reason for wanting to play PlayStation VR Worlds. But now I have to admit, I want to at least check out everything else that's on here. They did such a good job on that. I'm pretty curious in what else this disc has to offer. But this is kind of like a, what would you call it? Like it's almost like a demo disc or like a tech demo for VR and what you can do. The one thing though that both these games have in common is I wouldn't necessarily call them VR games as much as I would call them VR experiences. They definitely lean more into the, here are some basic mechanics you can do in VR. And something like, for example, Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. That's a straight up VR game. It's a very involved experience. No Man's Sky is probably another really good example. Minecraft's another really good example. Farpoint's a good example. Many of these I haven't played yet, so it's hard to comment, but I know, like, for example, Astrobot is good. But games like, where are they on the backlog? Right down here. Batman, Arkham VR, Psychonauts, and PlayStation VR Worlds, these are more so experiences. At least the London Heist was. That doesn't mean there isn't gameplay, but it does mean that it's just not the most involved thing. I'd almost call it a comfy game, or not comfy, but a cozy game, honestly. These were really enjoyable and relaxing to play. But with that being said, I do want to dive into them a little bit and tell you about what my experiences was like. So, Psychonauts in the Rhombus of Ruin, for those of you who have not played the original Psychonauts, I highly recommend you check it out. In my opinion, it's one of the greatest 3D platformers ever made. It's not necessarily one of the greatest because it handles so good or the gameplay is necessarily so much fun. It just has such a interesting world with a colorful cast of characters, a fascinating story. It's really funny. It's really well written, and the gameplay is good. But it's not maybe like the silkiest, smoothest gameplay that you could find out there for a 3D platformer. But in my opinion, Psychonauts 1 for 3D platformer fans is an absolute must play. It is one of my favorite 3D platformers of all time. So I got really excited when Psychonauts 2 came out, which is in the backlog. I have not started it yet, but I'm really looking forward to that. But once I remembered, because when I first got into VR, I actually forgot this existed. Once I remembered that Psychonauts and the Rhombus of Ruin existed, oh man, I got so stoked to check this one out. It was one of the top priorities on my VR list. I even bought it digitally on sale, I think for like $2 or $3, and then still went out and got a physical copy when I spotted one for cheap. And it's so nice to see these characters in this high fidelity graphics. They look so good in HD. And the charm is still there. The game is still really funny. And overall, the adventure you go on is pretty interesting. I would say the closer you get to the ending, the better it gets. It starts off just a little okay. This one definitely leans into the experience type of definition a little bit more. I'd say even the London Heist has more gameplay, that what I would define as gameplay, than this does. This is a lot of really basic puzzle solving. I'll keep it at that. But overall, really great experience. I really love the ending segments of this game. and what it was like. I guess what you could equivalize as like a final boss. That whole situation and the way that played out was really, really great. If you're gonna play, if you're into PlayStation VR, or you're going to get into PlayStation VR, and you can find this for cheap, like $10 or so, definitely recommend it. Super fun, and I'll definitely revisit it someday when I decide to revisit like the Psychonauts series as a whole. Now, as far as PlayStation VR Worlds go, now like I said, I've only played the London Heist, but again, that's what I went in here for. I think I got this for like $5 at a game store, so I was pretty happy with that. I am pretty curious in this like under the sea one, and then there's this one where you're like a machine on some planet. I think you're like fighting off like bugs. But London Heist, it's definitely very short, which I expected. I didn't expect it to be very long. I went into it knowing it was extremely short, but it does tell an interesting story about you getting hired by this guy to rob some jewel from another guy. This bald dude is like, y'all are both on the job together, and then as you're trying to capture this jewel or whatever, you get to go through this really fun segment of trying to decode and unlock different parts of this desk to find the gem, and eventually you get in a shootout with some bad guys. And then after that, you're in your getaway in your escape car, and you get chased down by guys during that too. And that's probably like the most well-known and epic part of this whole game. It's a lot of fun, really enjoyable, and then you go into this really cool ending sequence that has multiple endings. Overall, if you can get this one for cheap too, I definitely recommend it. And that's only playing one game on here. There's still multiple games. There's like a racing game on here. There's some like high score game. Again, there's, like I said, like some planetary shooting up bugs or aliens type of game. So I believe the one with the underwater is more like an experience as well. But I do look forward to playing this. A good plus for this too, and for Psychonauts as well, is if you don't have the PlayStation Move controllers, these can both be played with just a DualShock 4. So all you need is a PS4 controller, and you can play both of these. And I believe on this one, that counts for every game on here. I don't think there's any game that makes you have to use the Move controllers. Although London Heist gives you the option, and that's how I played it, and I really enjoyed it. But yeah, both of these, man, if you're looking to get into VR at all, and you can find these for cheap, absolute pickups, man. Definitely check these out. That's one of the reasons I love PlayStation VR, is because everything is so cheap on there. But with all that being said, we get to have the awesome ceremony here of adding these to the backlog. So what you're looking at here is my PlayStation 4 backlog, or not, sorry, add them to the backlog, to the completed games section. This is all the games that I've beaten on my PlayStation 4. Not Shenmue 3, that's just an empty steelbook. I've beaten all those games on PS4, and now, I now have completed 5 VR games, and it feels good, man. It feels really good to finally add a couple more. But one of the most fascinating things about this experience, and I shared it on my last video, that I've been having difficulty getting into like a new game lately and finding something that's interesting and keeping my attention. And what I realized shortly after booting up Psychonauts last night, that was the game I beat first, was this headset, man. Getting back in the headset is exactly like the injection I needed into my gaming hobby. It was so much fun to play VR again. So much fun. So much so that you might have noticed Blood and Truth and Until Dawn Rush of Blood aren't over here. That's because they are sitting way over there, because I'm going to start playing those tonight. And I'm very much looking forward to it. So with that being said, that's it, guys. Psychonauts and PlayStation VR Worlds are now in the beaten games section. Feels good. That's 2 games that have been on the backlog for quite a long time. But not just on the backlog, on the currently playing section. Like the games I wanted to focus on, and they're done. I just think that's so cool. Until Dawn and Blood of Truth have also been in the currently playing section for a really long time, so it'll be great to get those knocked out as well. I'm very much looking forward to it. So stay tuned, and I'll keep you touch on how those go. And in the meantime, I am still, hacking away at Batman Arkham Asylum. I haven't booted it up in probably like, maybe getting close to 2 weeks now, but that's just life, you only got so much time. But that's it, man. That's all I got to say. That's my little coverage on those 2 games. Stay tuned, though. My next video is going to be about my Black Friday pickups. And yeah, I've got some really cool games coming down the way. It's kind of funny. I just eliminated 2 games from the backlog, and I just added 4. Actually, no, 3. I added 3 games. No, yeah, 3 games to the backlog. 3 games to the backlog. But that is for next time. So stay tuned. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for hanging out as always. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care.